By April 1986, Pripyat stood as one of the youngest cities in the Soviet Union. 16 years old. Built from nothing to house the workers of the Chernobyl Nuclear Power Plant and their families. Nearly 50,000 people called it home. Thursday morning, April 24th. The city woke to routine. Factory whistles cut through the dawn. Shift changes. Workers streamed toward the nuclear facility in buses that ran every few minutes, their routes timed to the plant's operational rhythm. The power station sat just 3 kilometers north, close enough that the massive cooling towers dominated the horizon. These structures were not just buildings. They were a source of pride. Working at the plant meant good wages, better housing, status. Pripyat looked different from most Soviet cities. Newer. The buildings were prefabricated concrete, yes, but they were modern. Central heating, hot water, reliable electricity. Families had moved here from older towns and villages, drawn by promises of improved living. Wide boulevards, green spaces, schools and shops arranged with deliberate precision. Everything felt organized, showcased. Inside thousands of apartments, morning routines unfolded identically. Black bread, butter, tea in glasses with metal holders. The apartments were small, but functional. 2 or 3 rooms for a family. Shared balconies overlooked courtyards where children played. Laundry hung from lines between buildings. The sounds of a working city echoed through these spaces. Voices, radios, doors closing, footsteps in stairwells. By 8, the schools filled. Pripyat had 15 kindergartens, 5 secondary schools, 1 technical college. Children wore their uniforms, brown dresses with black aprons for girls, dark suits for boys, their leather satchels heavy with textbooks. Classes were disciplined. Mathematics, literature, science, mandatory communist ideology. April weather was transitional. Cool mornings, warming afternoons. The city center clustered around Lenin Square and the Palace of Culture, energetic. This building was everything. Performances, films, gatherings, a gymnasium, a swimming pool. The square itself was paved and open, designed for May Day parades. A few shops lined the surrounding streets. A department store, a grocery, a pharmacy, a bookshop. Shopping required patience. Lines formed regularly. Availability was unpredictable. Women handled these errands, often after work, sometimes sending children with lists and ration coupons. The marketplace operated differently. Here, individuals sold produce from private gardens, homemade preserves, small crafts. April meant the market was sparse. Winter stores depleted. Spring harvests not yet begun. Still, there might be dried mushrooms, pickled vegetables, perhaps early greenhouse tomatoes if someone had access. Work consumed daylight. The nuclear plant operated continuously. 3 shifts, around the clock. Engineers, technicians, maintenance staff, security, administrators, all cycled through designated hours. The work was technical, demanding. Many had specialized training, university degrees in nuclear physics or engineering. The plant represented cutting-edge Soviet technology. The reactors generated electricity for much of Ukraine. This mattered. Beyond the plant, the city supported itself. Teachers, doctors, nurses, shop clerks, bus drivers, janitors, electricians, cooks, construction workers. Pripyat was young, still expanding. New apartment blocks rose on the outskirts. The work was physical, exhausting, but steady. The hospital on Druzhby Narodiv Street provided comprehensive care. Soviet healthcare was free and universal, though quality varied. The facility was modern by local standards. Maternity ward, surgical facilities, emergency department. Doctors made house calls for serious illnesses, carrying bags filled with basic tools and medications. Pharmacies dispensed prescriptions, but common medicines were chronically short. People stockpiled when items appeared. Recreation was built into Soviet planning. The cinema showed films, Soviet productions, and occasional works from other socialist countries. Tickets were cheap. Screenings were popular, especially weekends. The sports complex offered basketball, volleyball, boxing. An amusement park was under construction near the riverfront, scheduled to open for May Day. The Ferris wheel sat silent, waiting. Children played near the site, curious about the new attractions. The Pripyat River curved along the western edge. Spring had softened the landscape. Trees showed early green. The ground remained damp from snowmelt. The air carried earth and water. People walked the embankment in late afternoon, seeking fresh air after work. Some fished from the banks. The forest stretched for kilometers. Pine, birch, oak, dense, deep. Families gathered mushrooms in season or simply walked the trails. Public transportation was efficient. Buses connected residential districts to the center, the train station, the plant. Routes ran frequently. Fares were minimal. Most people didn't own cars. Too expensive. Years on waiting lists, unless you had exceptional connections. Bicycles were more common, though spring mud made cycling impractical. Walking remained primary. The city was compact. Most destinations reachable within 20 minutes on foot. Evening brought families together. Dinner around 6 or 7. The main meal. Potatoes appeared frequently, prepared in various forms. Cabbage, beets, onions, carrots. Meat was less common, reserved for weekends or special occasions. Chicken, pork, sausage in small portions, stretched through soups. Black bread accompanied everything. Cooking happened in small kitchens on gas burners. The smells of frying onions and boiling vegetables drifted through corridors. Television provided primary entertainment. Most families owned a set. Programming was limited. A few state-controlled channels. News broadcasts at 9, mandatory for understanding official information. Variety shows, documentaries, occasional films. Reception could be unreliable. Families gathered around the flickering screen. Children finished homework at kitchen tables while adults unwound. The Communist Party maintained visible presence. Posters and banners carrying official slogans decorated public spaces. May Day was approaching, less than a week away. One of the most important dates on the Soviet calendar. Schools rehearsed marching formations. Workplaces organized delegations for the parade, speeches, music, displays of civic unity. People took these occasions seriously, though enthusiasm varied from genuine belief to obligatory participation. Social life operated through established networks. Workplaces formed the primary unit. Colleagues saw each other daily, developed friendships, participated in organized activities together. Trade unions arranged excursions, distributed bonuses, provided access to vacation facilities. Apartments were often allocated through workplace connections, meaning neighbors typically worked at the same institution. Everyone knew everyone's business. The professional technical school trained young workers in practical skills: welding, electrical work, mechanical repair. The curriculum combined classroom instruction with hands-on practice. Graduates expected employment at the nuclear plant or related facilities. The school represented opportunity for rural youth, a path to urban life and stable income. Dormitories housed students from outside Pripyat, adding energy to the city's atmosphere. Religious practice existed quietly. The Soviet state promoted atheism. Open observance could impact careers or party membership. Yet many maintained private faith, especially older generations. Orthodox traditions persisted in homes, away from scrutiny. Easter would arrive in a few days, Sunday, May 4th. Some families would prepare traditional foods in domestic privacy. Pascha bread, painted eggs. Churches in nearby villages still operated, though attendance required discretion for those in sensitive positions. The library on Kurchatov Street served the community. Books were free to borrow. Popular titles required waiting lists. The collection included Soviet literature, approved foreign works in translation, technical manuals, children's books. Reading was common. Literacy rates were nearly universal. People subscribed to newspapers and magazines. Pravda, the official Communist Party newspaper, appeared daily. Regional publications covered local news. Pripyat's youth club offered organized activities for teenagers, weekend dances, Soviet pop music and approved Western recordings, hobby groups, sports teams, educational lectures. Young people gathered at these sanctioned venues. Independent youth culture was limited. Fashion was constrained by available goods, but teenagers still expressed individuality, a particular style of wearing a scarf, a favorite brand of shoes if obtainable, hairstyles that pushed boundaries slightly. The city remained largely self-contained. Travel outside required internal passports and often special permission. Most people stayed close to home, their world bounded by work, family, community. Vacations were usually spent at sanatoriums or rest homes allocated through workplace benefits. Black Sea coast, Carpathian Mountains. Once a year if finances allowed. The rest of the time, life unfolded within familiar boundaries. April 24th was ordinary. The weather was mild, neither warm nor cold. Clouds moved across the sky. Streets were busy with routine traffic. The nuclear plant operated normally. 4 reactors generating electricity as designed. Engineers monitored control panels, recording data, adjusting parameters. Maintenance workers performed scheduled tasks. The facility hummed with constant activity. Children played in courtyards after school. Their voices echoed off concrete walls. Mothers watched from balconies, calling down warnings. Older residents sat on benches near building entrances, conversing with neighbors. Everyday concerns, the price of goods, upcoming holidays, family matters. These conversations formed the connective tissue of community life. Evening approached. Lights appeared in apartment windows. The Palace of Culture hosted a scheduled film screening. A modest crowd gathered. The sports complex closed for the night. Buses made final runs, carrying late-shift workers home. The streets grew quieter. Tomorrow would be Friday, end of the work week. Then the weekend, with its different rhythm. The nuclear plant continued through the night. Shift workers reported for duty, relieving those who had worked since afternoon. The control room maintained its vigil, watching instruments, responding to the reactor's demands. This was the pattern that had defined Pripyat since its founding. A city synchronized to continuous industrial production. By late evening, most families had retired. Lights dimmed in apartments. The streets stood nearly empty. Pripyat slept. This was life on April 24th, 1986. A young Soviet city, proud of its modernity, confident in its purpose, living through an ordinary day in an ordinary week in an ordinary spring. Fully alive, fully engaged with daily routines, fully invested in the future it believed stretched ahead. The city simply was what it was, a place where people lived, worked, raised children, and built their lives within the structures and limitations of their time and place. If you enjoyed this AI reconstruction of life in Pripyat before that pivotal moment in history, please consider subscribing to the channel. Your like helps others discover these historical journeys, and sharing with friends keeps these stories alive. Thank you for watching.